call this
The podcast
starts
so far.
It's not real bad.
It's pretty bad.
I mean,
just because I don't agree with you, it's bad. That's what I'm hearing.
Basically, if you knew, had you met me? We're gone away from each other. We're gone away from each other for a week, and you forget how I operate.
I'm also really tired. This is another morning podcast. These aren't good.
These are great.
I love these.
I had a slow start getting in here this morning, but now that I'm here and I've had a taste of this terribly not delicious Mio sweet tea,
I think I would have been
enhancer.
better at like 8:30 than I am now. Like I've had time to get over my first caffeine, and I haven't had my second caffeine yet. Oh, I sound terrible too.
I can't have caffeine.
Oh,
yeah.
No caffeine for Adam.
Okay. Well, anyway, so if you're not able to figure it out as of yet, this is the Bite Me podcast. If you couldn't figure it out by how terrible we started off,
bite me.
You're right, you can bite us.
episode 43.
43.
Bite Me podcast is, wow, it's been older than all of us for a while now.
That means that we're 9 episodes away from a year worth of
1 year.
podcast.
The 1 year anniversary.
What are we doing for that?
I don't know.
Cupcakes.
You know what? You say 9 episodes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's like over 2 months away.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, and we missed one in the middle. We've skipped 1 week one time, so I don't know exactly how that works.
What week did we skip?
It was like early, like 6 or 7.
That doesn't count.
It was one of us had a death in the family and had to leave quickly. It might have been you.
Oh, it was me. It was in January. Did we skip? Did y'all skip that week?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
yeah. So,
well, my grandma died.
Sorry,
y'all.
man.
Sorry that we had to ruin your.
I think it was actually before we. It might have been right as we started.
I think it was right as we
kind of
started.
weeklies. Yeah. So,
oh well.
I don't think anyone noticed. But we've also done like 3 or 4 special episodes. So we're. We actually have a total of
technically we've got a year's
50.
worth of episodes.
Yeah, that's good.
Technically.
Anyway,
and then season 1 will be complete.
Oh,
I know, right?
And we'll launch directly into season 2. No wait, no break.
Anyway,
just for you.
So I am Adam West,
Cliff Johnson,
and the Dylan.
Welcome to Bite Me Podcast, episode 43. Yeah, we've already covered that. Anyway, so aside from what we're playing, which 2/3 of us are playing basically nothing but a particular game. Same with everybody else. It's called
User Shoot Larry 6.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't help it. I saw it on sale on Steam. And I'm like, I have to have it.
Is that on sale?
No.
Is it half off?
No. Stop.
That was good.
So obviously, a lot of us are playing Destiny 2 along with all of you. So we're going to talk about that.
You're
what
playing
we think
Destiny
about
2?
It. Yeah. Oh my god.
Destiny 2 as well.
I'm going to turn his mic off.
I think it's for the best.
So we're going to talk about Destiny 2, what we think, what we think about it. Also, this shader controversy thing, which I don't quite understand it.
It's dumb.
It's kind of dumb from what I've heard. But anyway, Bethesda has a creation club, and it's not good. We'll tell you about that. Final Fantasy VII release date is it's your own personal
Berenstain Bears
paradox.
Are you not familiar with that? This will be a learning experience for everyone.
We'll find that out.
I know the
PUBG got an
Berenstain
update.
Bears.
PewDiePie, surprise, he's a racist.
Yeah.
Duh.
Who was surprised?
At this point, nothing shocks me about him. So we'll cover all that in your news. We'll take some questions, and we'll go over your cheap free games for this week's episode of the Bite Me Podcast. But first, we start off with what we're playing, and I'll get mine out of the way because I know Cliff is playing this as well. Destiny 2.
Me too.
That's about all I've been playing.
And I played a little bit of West of Loathing still, and it's so good. Everyone should buy that game. It's like $12 to it.
The only other game I've been playing is Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Oh, how do you like it?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, I want that
Have
so
you
bad.
played that?
No, not yet.
It is fantastic.
Is it a $60 game?
It is.
Is it worth it?
I'm going to say yes, because
you
you probably got a solid 20 hours worth of
Wackadoo.
wackadoodle gameplay, and the replayability factor is fantastic because they've got all these little challenges that crop up that you can do that are all
I'm going to be on a plane all day tomorrow. Well, I mean, for like 3 hours tomorrow and 3 hours on Friday, and then in a hotel for 3 days.
If you want to drop $60 on it, it's a great investment, and it's perfect on the Switch. It is a perfect Switch game. So check it out. And it starts like after the first world worth of like maps and battles that you go through. After that, that's when it really starts to get strategic. You really have to start thinking because you start getting all these different abilities, and you've got more than just a move and attack.
Yeah.
Like you've got move, bounce, attack, team jump, dash, all these different powers in these secondary and tertiary attacks. It's awesome.
That sounds
anyway,
awesome. I'm very excited.
I'm going to buy it
about
just because you used tertiary in a sentence.
It was really well done, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's good. I applaud you.
Thank you.
I love that word.
I know. I'm like, I said it and I was like, oh, I just said that. Anyway, so that's what I'm playing. And you've been playing West of Loathing?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's we talked about it last week. It's
Oh yeah, when I was here.
Yeah, I know, right? I expect you hung on to every word I said. If you knew how hard it was for me to make a podcast by myself.
Sorry.
It's not your fault, man. Like, I think every time I come out of those podcasts, I'm like, oh, thank God Adam is a person, because like, he not only is he's a great contributor to this, but he does all the audio stuff, and without him, it takes me like 3 hours to make a podcast.
Magic.
I watch Adam do it. He's like, hey, it's been 10 minutes, we're done. I'm like, how? But I guess when you do it professionally, it's probably
magic blindfold.
Yeah, man, it's bad when I do it. It's real bad. So, no, West of Loathing is this kind of weird stick figure role playing cowboy game. It's real fun. Like, watch the video. It's really good.
Okay.
I played a little bit at PAX. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like,
it's really funny.
It's just.
The reason I bought, I mean, like, it was already on my radar because I'd played their first game called Kingdom of Loathing, but I played it for probably 10 minutes at PAX and laughed out loud like half a dozen times at just stupid stuff, and I'm like, that's worth $10 to me.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Cool.
Hey, what are you doing, Dylan?
Aside from the Overwatch, which is, I was trying to. They changed some characters around, so I was playing with those. Like, Roadhog can move and heal now since the last patch. I think we talked about the patch incoming, but so some new abilities. Mercy will get a new ability soon, but I think on the next update, like we talked about before, trying to level up my PC. I don't know. This is a weird problem I'm having. Like, it takes minutes to get into a game of Overwatch on PC. I don't know if it's because I'm at
different
like
matchmaking.
a skunk level.
Like, just no one else is bad
like
as you
no
are.
one is garbage anymore. So I don't know what it is, but it's like 3 to 5 minutes to get into a game.
I've actually been noticing that on Rocket League when I go in, because every once in a while I'll go in and Smurf is on our Bite Me count, just because I don't feel like playing hyper competitive. I just want to like go in and screw around a little bit. And because I don't play as much as I used to be, I'm not nearly as good as I used to be either. So like going in and playing on my I think I'm like a level 49 expert. I'll just pull all sorts of stuff. But so I've been playing on ours, and I notice like occasionally I'll pull a game with other rookies, but occasionally it'll be like me, another rookie, and like a Rocketeer and 2 Masters. I'm like, what's going on here?
What does that even mean? What are those words?
They're super high level players, and so like I don't know if it's just that those kind of games eventually you just aren't pulling enough new players in to have lower level players, even though they're still selling really well.
Yeah.
Or if it's I don't know what it is, but
yeah, I'd really like
noticed the same thing.
I'd like to know, because I don't know. Like, it's really. Like, why am I sitting here trying to play this game? Because I just want to level up so I can actually get match made into a game.
Yep.
And if that is really the problem, I don't know. Because I can't imagine there not being enough players.
Yep.
Like, that's definitely not the problem. And on Xbox, it's never a problem getting into a game within. And it's quick play too. It's not even competitive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's weird. You'd think they'd just stuff a bunch of people in there.
Yeah. So I don't know why it's so hard to get 12 people in a lobby. It
That's weird.
seems real weird.
Maybe it's just not enough people. I mean, it could just be a lack of people.
Yeah. Or they're all playing deathmatch. I don't know. I also, Rainbow Six Siege had a huge patch. It was like a 26 gigabyte update when I updated it. That added some new characters, as well as all kinds of graphic updates, bug fixes. The patch notes is in a very extensive list. If you play that in. And then I checked out Blood Bowl 2 Legendary Edition during the beta, which I believe is out now, which I will probably actually pick this up because I'm interested to play more Blood Bowl.
I played it and really liked it. We should get it together and try it out.
Yeah.
It's weird, but it's really
it's
fun.
super fun. I am sure it'd be even more fun playing with people that you know personally, like kind of like on the tabletop where I originally played this game, but it's so much fun to be able to play with the ease of a computer. It kind of takes away all the extra time that you would need to check rules.
As much as I love the idea of like getting a bunch of friends together and playing a board game, at the same time, I'm always like, it's really nice to just be able to like hop into something, not have to like, oh man, I don't have any dice. Do you have any dice? Like, oh, I think we're missing a piece. Like, I think that I really enjoy all those kind of things more online than I do.
And it's translated so well into this game. It's just like playing the tabletop, and it's fun. So, and the Legendary Edition is a great deal. It's the original Blood Bowl 2 game with all the added DLC. They did all the new teams and stuff, and just an updated version, more modes and things like that. So I look forward to playing that some more now that I am back from the craziness of PAX and my trip to Texas. Yeah. So I might actually have some time to play games because I probably spent about 2 hours total in the past week.
So fun.
Yeah, I
week and a half. So
yeah. Yeah, and I think that's one thing we want to talk about just quickly is we have not done a PAX update yet, and I still really want to. So you're going to have to wait another week, though, because unfortunately I leave for Phoenix tomorrow. Like we went to PAX, and like Dylan and Adam were gone, and I was here, and then we got back, and we're all super busy, and then I'm leaving again. So next week I think we're here for the first 3 days of the week.
Yeah, which is enough.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
We'll try and we try and get a little bit of PAX.
We looked
going.
at our schedules, and we tried really hard to convince PAX to like move a weekend one way or the other,
right?
So we could like. Our schedule would work out better, but they didn't really. They weren't really receptive to that.
Something about 80,000 other people coming too,
and
Weird.
Those people are more important than us, and I find that hard to believe.
Weird.
Moving on.
That's still happening.
All right, so there's what we've all been playing, and after that, we always move on to our
news.
There it is.
We missed this. The worst part of last week was I had no news. I had no Vinny voice.
No bumpers.
It was tough.
Did you like have a moment of silence for the loss of those things?
I tried to convince Hans to do the Vinny voice, and he said that it would be like awful and fevery. Yeah, he just said it wouldn't be right. It would be taking something that was objectively Dylan's.
I appreciate that.
Making it,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
it'll be back.
Yeah, so obviously the big thing in news right now is this little game called Destiny 2. I'm sure you've heard of it.
1.2 million simultaneous players this weekend.
That's insane.
Yep. That's slightly more than PUBG.
Slightly more.
More.
PUBG, I don't know. I think comparing those two games to simultaneous users, like...
Is that between the two consoles? Or was that on...
for both.
Yeah, so that's. I don't think you can compare those two just because.
It's just insane that what's crazy is that no, you shouldn't be able to compare those, but you can. Like it's amazing the amount of players that PUBG has right now. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, but PUBG's also got what, a 7-month head start.
Yeah, but I mean,
the game's not even out.
Objectively, Destiny has a 3-year head start building an audience.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So, what do you think of Destiny 2? What do you think?
It's everything I wanted from the game. Like it took every complaint I had, and I honestly didn't have that many complaints about Destiny because of when I got into it. Like I've only been playing Destiny for like maybe the last 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah. And so like I came at the end where everything was really good, like I never had to play vanilla Destiny. I never had to play I never had to play Destiny without DLC. Like I still haven't beaten the entire story in Destiny.
Oh, me
so to me, it just everything's cleaner. Like the load times are significantly better. You don't have to go into orbit all the time. The gunplay feels amazing. The graphics are absolutely stupendous. Like I said this quite a few times that it needs a photo mode like Horizon Zero Dawn has, or like The Last of Us has, where I look at these things, I'm like, I wish I could take a picture of that without my dorky dude and his gun in the way, because some of the things, you'll just come out on this cliffside and you're like, wow, those are just amazing. The music's great. The missions feel super solid, and I actually understand what the story is this time. Like
that's my favorite thing about it is the story.
If you ask me what the story of Destiny was, I'm like, space guy, like I fight things, and there's bad guy alien people, and now I'm like, oh well, there's the Traveler, and the like you actually understand who you are and what you're doing and why you're on these missions, and it's great.
Yeah,
and you're getting to interact with. Cade and all these,
it was hilarious.
Oh, God. Nathan Fillion plays that part perfectly. There's no one else that can play that
role. So did you get to the part where he's holding the chicken? He's just standing there holding a chicken?
No.
He's having a conversation. He's just holding a chicken.
That's amazing.
It's great. I was playing with Miles, Neurogamer,
nice.
from the Discord, and his partner Larry, and we were playing last night, and we finished this mission, and they're all standing around the farm, and when they pan over to Cade for his part, he's just standing there holding the chicken.
Oh, that's amazing.
Petting the chicken. It was great. We all laughed
Nathan
at the same
Fillion
time.
holds a chicken in Destiny 2, then I'm in.
You're in?
Yeah, it's totally
I think
good.
the funny thing is like I'm like a level, I'm going to say like 15 or 16.
Okay.
But I'm not that far into the campaign because I played like 3 or 4 hours with my brother and Kevin, and then I stopped playing with them and like ate lunch, and then played another 3 or 4 hours with my kid, but started over from the first because my kid hadn't played yet. Right. So I've played like I've played probably 8 or 10 hours of the game, but the first
all the same
yeah,
thing.
but I played the first 4 hours and then played the first 4 hours again. So I'm not terribly far into the story, but everything I've played is spectacular. I love the little. Like, so you lose, I guess, is it a spoiler? It's not a spoiler to say you lose your light.
Oh, no, it's not a spoiler, because that's what, I mean, that's what
trailer.
happens right at the very, in the beta. You lost your light.
And so that also means that you don't have a subclass,
right.
or you have one subclass. You don't have your other two. And so you have to kind of gain them back through this weird kind of process of finding these kind of broken pieces of things, and then you go talk to I guess you don't talk to a Shard of the Traveler, it's a big rock, but you go to it and then like kind of pass this challenge, and those are super fun. Like I really like the process of like getting your light back. Probably the only thing I don't like about the game is I don't like how they've changed your weapon loadouts. I don't like that you have, because in Destiny 1 you had like a machine gun kind of thing, and then your secondary was a sniper rifle or a fusion rifle or a shotgun.
Scout rifle?
Or a shotgun.
Okay.
So your scout rifles, your pulse rifles, all those things were in your first slot. And then your shotguns and
main
fusion
weapon,
rifles.
Your hand cannons.
Were your secondary weapons. And then your third weapons were your heavies. And now your first two slots can kind of be a pulse rifle and an auto rifle, or pulse rifle.
It can be whatever, basically whatever you want. As long
unless
as they fall like
you want it to be a sniper rifle or a shotgun, which are now in with your heavy weapons.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
But those weapons have always been in not necessarily in Destiny, but in other games, that's where most of those weapons fall, is in that third category.
See, I don't think so. Like, it's usually you're able to have a close combat gun and a far combat gun, you know. So like you can go like I have a rifle that I can use close up, and a sniper rifle when I want to shoot something from across the screen. You know, even, I mean, when you think about it, even like most role-playing games work that way, where you've got a sword for up close and you've got a bow and arrow for far back. And I think you kind of like, you can use kind of a scout rifle kind of like that. But I like
love my scout rifle.
Yeah, and that's what I usually do. Is I have a auto in my main and a scout rifle as my secondary, so I can kind of plink at things from a distance, and then going close with the scout rifle. And it is nice that you have melee past that. But I just kind of wish I don't ever use shotguns, but I wish that sniper rifle was able to be put in your secondary
shotgun
slot.
Is great.
It is. It's just
because I'm that guy who's like, oh, there's the big bad guy, the main bad guy, and I run right up to him and I just unload. That's what I do.
I believe he is known as a Leroy Jenkins.
That's okay. I'm fine with that, but that's what I do.
Sure.
And I last night I died more in battle than I have up to that point, but I'm just going to blame Miles and Larry.
Do you think the game's harder?
Do I think the game's harder
than 1?
No. Do you want me to give you my thoughts on the game?
Yeah.
No. Okay. So here are my thoughts. I think the story is fantastic. The voice acting is absolutely incredible. I think the story in particular, I'm enjoying it more than I think I have a game as of late, just because the story's, it's actually got an actually compelling story.
It's good. It's really good.
It's good. So it's more of Destiny. It's just Destiny again with new maps, which is fine. Yeah. Because if it wasn't necessarily broken once they fixed it.
Yeah.
But now they don't have to fix it. My problems so far with the game are, 1, the platforming sections. I think the platforming is... I hate platforming in a first-person game. I hate it.
What do you play as?
Terrible. I'm a Titan.
Huh. I mean, but Destiny 1 had a ton of platforming, too.
It didn't have a ton. It didn't have a ton.
Maybe you're further in and have seen more of it than I have, but I would say Destiny 1 had more platforming and more super frustrating platforming than Destiny 2 has for me.
The only platforming I remember from the first Destiny, that was there were 2 sections. There was one where you were kind of outside, and then there was another one where you were inside this cavern where you had to find. I mean, this one the
only real platforming's been on the level with the when you're first on Titan, right?
Yeah, but all the missions on that planet and all the little adventures on that planet and all the things.
And to me, the platforming on that's not hard. But I play as a hunter too, and hunter has a triple jump, and so you can kind of redirect in the air a little bit.
That
better,
would be fancy.
I think.
I should probably do that. But I don't like platforming in a first-person shooter at all. Do you?
No.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And to me, it fits really well into the story. And
I can appreciate the verticality of the whole thing, because in Lawbreakers, that Overwatch kind of thing, there's a lot of verticality
Doom,
in that. It's in Doom, there's a lot of up and down. So I get that. But straight up having to jump, there's a section in that you come to in Nessus, which is the planet after Titan.
Yeah.
And where there's that energy flowing around that you can't step in this energy, whatever, on the planet because it hurts you.
Yeah.
I died 5 or 6 times trying to catch up with Miles and Larry because I couldn't land the jumps because it's first person. I don't want. If I want a platformer, I'm going to play Mario.
Interesting.
Yeah. Right.
That's
I don't
so
want
funny.
a platform
Until you said that, if someone had said like, the platforming in Destiny 2, I would have said like, what? It doesn't even occur to me that that's what I would call platforming. To me, it's just like the environment.
My friend Victor, when I came back from my trip last week, he said that he'd been playing with our friend Brad, and that Brad kept dying, and all Victor would say was platforming. And I'm like, I don't know what you mean. I've not played it yet. Stop telling me this.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, it happened. Like when me and my brother and Kevin were playing, occasionally someone would miss, and you just res them and move on. It's to me it's the ones in the first one were so much harder with the weird like ones that would disappear when you jump onto them or disappear. That or the ones where you're jumping almost like from these big land masses to big land masses were hard because if you didn't nail those right, you just couldn't jump far enough. The ones in this have been far less frustrating to me. That's interesting.
I guess it's one thing to make a big jump across a chasm, but it's another thing like one jump, but have to.
Oh, this one's
bounce
it's bounce to bounce to bounce to bounce. So it's strange. Different strokes.
I don't ever want to die in a platforming section in a game like this because that's not what the game's about, right? If I die to the big baddie, that's fine.
Isn't it? I mean, it's just part of an environmental thing.
That's not what the challenge in that game is.
Oh, no, it's very much what the challenge in that game is.
And it's beautiful to see.
Playing Destiny, when I'm jumping through those segments, it's not hard. Every once in a while, you miss a segment. Damn it! Now I got to do that again. Yeah. It's frustrating. It takes me. I don't want to do that in this game. I don't mind jumping over a big chasm. A big chasm, cool. That's landscapey. Jumping from weird disappearing platforms isn't really.
To me, it's so landscapey though. You're literally on a giant platform that is above a huge ocean that has been just ravaged by these bad guys. And so what you're doing is you're jumping literally over bridges that used to connect all these different things to go turn on a generator again. It's very environmental.
But then it disappears and I die.
No, that's in the first one.
This is the thing. If I played through the first Destiny and didn't have a complaint about the platforming, but I'm complaining about it in this one,
it's strange to me because the first one I complained about the platform all the time because it was super hard.
Oh, see, it never fazed me. Don't get me wrong, I didn't appreciate the points where they had it because I think what's the one, Black Garden, where
that was one with the 3 disappearing ones where you'd have to jump on it and it right before you hit it would disappear and then we didn't know either that you could pull out your ghost and it would show you where they were. Yeah. It was. I thought the first one's platform was really obtuse and really hard. So I don't know.
I made it through. Whatever.
Oh, there was a couple where I'm just I'm done. Go fight the boss yourself. I'll wait here.
But other than that, I really enjoy it. The soundtrack is great. The guns feel fantastic. I love my pulse rifle and my scout rifle.
Yep.
Those two, I have a pulse rifle almost always equipped, a scout rifle almost always equipped, and a rocket or grenade launcher.
Yeah.
I got really good with my grenade launcher.
Fun. Yeah.
Because if you aim it just right, and it just does that arc. And, And the sticky bombs that you can get.
Well, the sticky bombs are cool too because they almost feel like they've got a little bit of homing on them. You throw them at something, they kind of go. Whoop.
Well, they're magnetic.
Yeah.
So it's they bounce and they go towards whatever is metal.
There's nothing. I don't think there's anything better than I did it the other day, and I wish I'd had video of it because it was so fun. And I threw it at who are the guys that warp in and out of time? Is it?
That's the Taken.
It wasn't a Taken though. No, it was one of the captains or the whatever who can literally they'll be there and then they'll disappear and shift 5 feet to the left.
Yeah. I think it's a captain.
Either way, I hit
with that purple-y
the big
kind of shield
thing. Yeah, and so I threw a grenade at him right as he warped, and so it stuck to him. He warped 5 feet to the left, reappeared, and then the grenade exploded. And I'm
nice.
It's a fun game, and it's just full of those. It's full of those experiences that you really, really enjoy. That just make it's what makes Destiny Destiny. It's just always slightly hard enough. The guys feel just slightly. They always feel pretty on level.
I've tried soloing as many missions as I could, just because I wanted to level up as quickly as I could. Not everybody was always around,
but it's kind of fun to be able to do the world events by yourself.
It's really cool. And I made it through all the missions alone up until the first one on Nessus.
Sure.
I think I made it through alone. I know that I played with your brother and Kevin. But I made it through most all of them all on my own, except for that first one on Nessus where you have to get Cade and you fight a Hydra. And I was all okay. I can't. I tried it 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, there's too much going on. This is the first mission I've run into where I feel like a team would.
I haven't played much of it solo.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just a fun game. I've really enjoyed it. Like the only thing we were talking about this yesterday is I think the only thing I would love to see is if you could have a fire team of like 4 or 5 people, and then just either increase the number of enemies or increase the damage that it takes to kill all the enemies. Literally, just though, because I've got so many friends playing it that we can't all play together. It's it's me and my brother and my kid, and then someone gets left out, or me and someone else, and my kid gets left out, and it'd be just great to add in a couple other players.
Oh, and Crucible's 3v3 too, isn't it?
4v4.
Can you have a team of 4?
You can have a fire team of 4 for Crucible, and then the raid should be 6.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool. Other than that, the only other thing that I've noticed, I think there's a couple of weird connectivity issues on the PlayStation Network.
The clan stuff's a little messed up right now. Like, we do have a clan. You can join us. I'll post it.
That's weird.
Yeah. It's like our clan works. It's just not showing up right in-game. It shows up great on the website.
Well, and when you're in-game, if you actually go to your clan roster, everybody's there if they're online. Everybody that's in the clan is there if they're online.
It's just not showing up quite right.
It's just showing like there's 16 people here, but it's saying there's only 4 people in the actual clan. That's not true.
I've had a couple instances where I've gone to play and it'll like, hey, contacting the Destiny 2 servers when I like go to dust something or when I go to update things, and it's like, maybe not right now.
Yeah.
Maybe not right now. And I've had a couple of hard quits, but I mean, it's just there's a ton of people playing all at once.
I had a hard quit crash stop when I finished a mission that I'd been trying to finish.
Yeah.
And I had to do it again.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's great.
Other people are complaining about this shader thing, this shader controversy. I just picked up 2 different shaders last night.
Yep.
I don't think I can use them, though, until I'm level 20.
Maybe. I'm not sure. But, so because people on the internet always need something to complain about, this appears to be the Destiny 2 complaint du jour.
And these are just color options for your character.
Yeah, and so what people are mad about is in Destiny 1, you had shaders, and you picked up a new shader, and you never got very many of them. I mean, I'm like at level, I'm light level
3.
No, I'm not that high. 3 something though. Maybe 200. I don't know. But I've got 80 or 90 hours into Destiny, and I've got maybe 3, maybe 4.
I've got 2, and I'm only like 8 hours into this.
And but the difference is in Destiny 1, you kept those shaders forever, so you could go from this shader to this shader to this shader to this shader whenever you wanted. And the new ones, each shader has I think 5 pieces in it, and you can use one to do your arms and one to do your chest piece and one to do your leg piece. So one shader will color an entire set of armor, but they're one use only. So once you've used it forever. And you have to get another one to change it again. So if you're the first time you use it, you like this, you're like, oh, I don't like this, or I like this on parts of me, you'll have to get another shader in order to do it again, and you lose those initial shaders. And what the folks at Destiny are saying is like, it's fine though. By the time you get through the campaign and grind your way up, you're gonna have a ton of these things. No one's ever gonna care. And what the internet's saying is, well, but you just really want us to buy them because you can buy them using real world money to get silver for it. And yeah, I guess maybe they are, but at the same time, like, no one's forcing you to buy these things. Like, just because you want to be pretty doesn't mean that, like, the world owes it to you. Just be so very happy that the only thing they're doing is letting you buy pretty colors for your outfits.
Right.
And not,
it's not a pay to win
stuff. So I like, people are really, really, really mad about it. And I'm just like, why? It's
so many other things.
I mean, geez, the game's amazing. Worried about, what color your legs are is pretty dumb.
I only ever got one of those in the first Destiny.
Yeah.
I still haven't. I've never.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think
mismatched armor.
I think the concept of shaders is awesome. I love not having mismatched armor,
Right.
And I think the downside is like the kind of, I don't know how your guy looks, but my guy is just kind of brown. Like the default ones are kind of boring, and so I see wanting to have prettier ones. But I'm going to wait until I get a suit of armor.
Does your Guardian load into your app on your phone?
I don't know, but I mean, I'm just going to wait until I get armor that I know I'm going to keep before I worry about shaders.
Right.
It just doesn't matter. And like I said, if it's really that big of a deal to you, I guess I'm sorry, but if it's that big of a deal to you, I kind of question why you care that much too.
It seems weird too, because how often you're getting new stuff.
Yeah, and that's what they said is at the end, by the time you get to a point where you're like, I want to keep all, and I guess that's the thing is every time you get a new piece of armor, you're like, oh, I need to make sure that matches. Then yeah, you're gonna have a hard time with Destiny 2. But if you just go like, hey, I'm gonna play until I'm level 20 and my gear's kind of started to, I've got all my legendaries that I'm gonna keep for a while and my exotics I'm gonna keep for a while, and then color those, you're gonna be just fine. But I mean, even if this is a cash grab,
there are far worse ways to grab cash.
Holy crap. And I mean, like, Destiny 2 probably cost $150 million to $250 million to make. Like, that's a ton of
I figured
money.
It would cost more.
No, that's about what like big AAA games cost these days. Wow. Is like $250,000. Maybe more with marketing, maybe more.
$250 million.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No, $250,000. You don't make anything for $250,000. Yeah. But yeah, $250 million. Everything told, that's a ton of money. And are they going to make that back with game sales? Probably. They may make it back with game sales plus DLC, but having these kind of little other things, it keeps people in jobs, man. Like,
so now, is it the ability though to buy this stuff kind of similar to buying a crate in Overwatch or unlocking a crate in Overwatch?
It's exactly the same.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
And it's just, like I said, I think sometimes people just need something to complain about, And I mean, frankly, like if you trusted what people on the internet said about Destiny, it's a horrible game that never should have been made. It looks like crap and really should have been priced as DLC because there's nothing new in it.
I only trust people on the internet about politics.
We'll get to PewDiePie later.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, so there's your Destiny 2 stuff, Dylan. I'm sorry we didn't talk to you about that just because you've not played it. So
yeah, I don't
for the
know
first time, you're actually irrelevant.
The
first time,
irrelevant.
I think so. The first time, I think you're relevant all the time.
That's right.
It's all good
except for that. All right. So up next, is it Bethesda or Bethesda?
Bethesda. Oh, okay. Except that there is a Y.
I'm like, the Bethesda. The Bethesda Creation Club launched, and it is not so great. Is this this is like they stopped doing the mods for Fallout 4 and all that stuff.
Yeah, this is like the paid mod stuff. And I mean, it's not instead because you can still, a lot of these mods are still available for free, but this is supposed to be that curated club that's going to let
where people spend their time, you spend some money.
Yeah, exactly. This guy spent hours and hours and hours making this mod. Throw him $5 to show your appreciation for it. It gives these people the ability to do it. But the problem that they're seeing already is that people are taking mods that have existed for free and stealing it from the authors and relabeling it and putting it in the store. And it was supposed to not do that. There's supposed to be all these checks in place and reviews and whatever to make sure that didn't happen. And regardless, it's still happening. So
right, isn't this the problem that Steam had?
It's the exact problem that Steam had. And so, it's one of those things that I love the idea of this because I think that the creators deserve to be paid for things that they're spending. I mean, some of these mods are huge and take hours, and I think even more so than that, like, they take a huge amount of time to make, but they take a huge amount of time to update. Every new version of Fallout that comes out often will break a mod, and so then the mod author has to update it. And there's nothing worse than going in and going like, oh, I want that mod. That looks so cool. And realizing that the mod author stopped updating it a year ago, And so by incentivizing these mod developers to keep up with these things, it's better for everyone. And it's nice that they make some money and that you have mods that work and whatever, but man, it just hasn't worked quite yet. So Bethesda needs to kind of go back and probably get rid of a bunch of the ones that are wrong and probably set up a better system for not only reviewing, but a better system for people going and saying like, hey, they obviously stole this.
Right.
But it's hard too because there's no real like intellectual property or copyright law or anything that surrounds mods. It's very hard to prove that that was my idea and I made that one first. So right. It's difficult. I understand. I'm sympathetic to the difficulties of it, but if they're going to do this, they need to do it better.
And what's even funny is in addition to that, so remember how you were talking about back in the day with Xbox, you would buy credits or coins or whatever, and the alternating difference between what you're spending versus what you're getting.
I'll buy 80 coins for $1.
Right. So in addition to that, evidently, to buy stuff in the Creation Club, you can't use money, you have to use credits.
Yeah,
and you can buy 750 credits for $8. It's like, why would you do that?
And
1,500. Well, so it's weird. 750 credits for $8. 1,500 credits for $15. 3,000 for $25 and 55 for $40. Why? There's one of them in there that matches up.
I don't know.
One.
It's just gross.
Come on.
It's so gross.
Math is not that hard.
And it's not like, I think the thing is back in the day, like I would give, old PlayStation, old Xbox kind of the benefit of a doubt. Like microtransactions were not a thing really, right. But Apple's been selling, songs for $1 now for
15 years
ever.
Right.
So like obviously it's possible to do it and make money. So what up, yo? That's what I say. Anyway. What up, yo?
All right. So up next, Final Fantasy VII's release date is Cliff's own personal Berenstain Bears paradox.
Right.
I don't know what this means.
So you're not
Dylan, do you have
with
any idea what a Berenstain Bears paradox is?
I know what the Berenstain Bears are, but
there's the Berenstain Bears is one of many like strange paradoxes that people have found kind of in their lives. And so the Berenstain Bears one is that if you ask people what the name of the Berenstain Bears is, there's two very distinct groups of people that say one is Berenstain Bears and the other is like the Bernstein Bears. They're spelled completely differently. And if you ask people from different places and different times and what, people remember both of those very distinctly as them being right.
Oh, there's Berenstein or Berenstein. Yes, and only one of those is right.
Okay. It is actually the Berenstain Bears.
Oh, okay.
There is no other, but like I think I'm confused about which one I remember now because I know about the paradox. But there's a bunch of these. I think one of them is that there's a Shaq movie called Shazam. Mm-hmm. Is that one true?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not that one then, because there's one that like literally it doesn't exist at all, but people really, really remember it actually existing. If you go look at these kind of paradox things, there's dozens and dozens of them that people distinctly remember this thing being real, and it's not. And there's one of two answers. One is that people just memory is incredibly faulty and people make it what they want it to be. The other is that we live in a world that's right next to another dimension that's just like ours but slightly different, and sometimes things cross over.
Well, now you made it weird.
Well, but I mean, like the multiverse is real. It's Stephen Hawking says the multiverse is real, so I trust that dude. The best way to think about that is right now you're in a universe where you're not on fire. Somewhere in another multiverse, you're on fire.
Why is that the best way to think of it? Why is that the best way?
Because
that's
anytime
the best way?
The best way to think is Adam's on fire. It makes me happy.
The best way to think of it is in one universe, I'm a multi-billionaire dripping
named
in
Batman.
Yeah, right.
There's a universe where I'm skinny. I'm very excited about that one.
I'm like, that's the good. No, that's the good one.
The one where Adam's on fire is my favorite. But anyway.
Anyway, so Final Fantasy VII's release date is your own Berenstain Bears paradox.
Yes, because so like. I want to say the 9th rolled around, and all of a sudden,
roll around?
The 9th of September, right?
Okay.
And all of a sudden, all these places are like, "Oh my God, Final Fantasy VII came out 20 years ago today," and I'm like, "No, it didn't." But Final Fantasy VII came out the day before I got married. So it was September 3rd. And I remember this very distinctly because I had to go to work the day before I got married to distribute like 250 pre-orders for Final Fantasy VII because my store sold a ton of them. And I mean, obviously that day is very, very, close to me because it was, the day I got married. So I remember the day before it. And so I started going out on the internet and like, they're like, no, if you go to Wikipedia, Final Fantasy came out September 9th. I'm like, but it didn't. And I started looking around, and there are literally 2 release dates for Final Fantasy VII.
I'm looking at one. Okay, so I've got a release date.
What date do you have?
January 31st.
That's the release date in North America.
This is initial release date.
That's Japan.
Oh,
yeah. So,
well, then why aren't we just all agreeing on that one?
Because it's the North American release.
Okay.
But like, so you start digging into the internet, and there are 2 very, very different release dates for Final Fantasy. One of them is September 3rd, and one of them is September 9th. And I can't find any anything that says why some people believe one's one and one's the other. It's not like, Software Etc., sold that game 6 days early. Like, my boss never would have broken a street date. I guarantee you that. He was like the most hard-ass dude in the entire world.
What is Final Fantasy VII International? So, a re-release of the game based on its Western version titled Final Fantasy VII International was released on October 2nd, 1997.
That was... And that would have been later. Oh, no, that was... that's right. Yeah, 97. What day?
October 2nd.
I don't have any idea what that one is.
Oh, geez. We're in too deep.
Is that maybe the European?
Could be. Yeah, maybe that was a European release. But either way, I spent like an hour digging into this, and I can't find...
In North America, it says, okay, according to the Final Fantasy Wiki, Japan was January 17th. Later that year, September 7th, North America.
Okay, so it's September 7th, not September 9th.
And then October 2nd, internationally.
Except the date for me is September 3rd. And if you if you start digging into it, you can find a bunch of other people like, oh yeah, I remember that release September 3rd. But I can't find out why. I have no idea why there's one official release date and this other release date that people remember it being released on, including myself.
It's the Mormons.
It's the Mormons. It's real weird though. It's real strange for me because that day has been a day in my life forever because... it's always
been... I
thought
thought you were talking about the upcoming release of the thing.
No,
so I'm like,
I
don't know. What are we talking about? Okay, got it. Okay.
It was an anniversary.
It's just so weird for me. Yeah, but my 20th anniversary was on the 4th. And so, to me, 20th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII was yesterday.
And everyone's like, no.
And everyone's like, no. And then all these articles started coming out. I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore. So
nothing is real.
It's my own paradox. Nothing is. That's the reality is we're all just a computer simulation.
The reality is nothing is the reality.
There you go.
Got it. PUBG update. Anybody playing right now?
Mr.
Are you
Dillon?
playing?
Not right now.
Well, not right this minute.
I'm recording a podcast, Adam.
Well, I know that. But so is that what? Have you been playing more PUBG lately? Or,
not really, because I have not been around. But before that, yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's an update on the test servers currently, so that'll be Fog.
Okay, that's what I saw. I saw the Fog stuff.
So
it
cool.
looks really good. I cannot wait to play it.
There will be a new city added to the map. So one of the little towns got more buildings added to what is, I think, like the west side or something. I'm not going to get too deep into this because...
Oh, no, that's okay.
Please do.
And then to the side of that, there is another city added, I guess.
Really?
So,
ooh, that makes me
And it's supposed
happy.
to be a pretty big settlement.
Good.
So it'll be another one of the, the way the circle comes in at the end of the game, you usually are fighting over these certain locations most of the time. So it's going to probably add another...
I like it when you end up fighting in a city or a small settlement or something where you've got actual... strategy to do.
Right, rather than just a hill and a field.
Oh, look, you're on a grassy knoll.
We got screwed.
Although
on this
the one that I ended up on, I was up on top of this grassy knoll, and I was like, I'm going to go up there, and the circle came in on me. So I was up there just popping them off.
Wait, are you the shooter on the grassy knoll?
I have been. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Don't say that too loud.
Right.
I think you're still looking for that guy.
There's the CIA. Everyone knows that.
But anyway, yeah, I think that's exciting. There's going to be... I mean, it's a huge map, and there's a lot of it that could have, I think, maybe a little bit more stuff. And I think that's cool that the map's not final yet. So that's kind of cool. It can change, even though it is one map.
It's one huge, gigantic map.
I mean, that's going to be interesting. I think, I'm just trying to imagine the first time you kind of, drop back down, and you're like, well, this wasn't here before. Right. That's kind of weird. Even though I know I haven't explored that whole map, because it's huge.
There's so many, but it's so funny watching, because I'll watch people play just so I can get some pointers on whatever. And they're like, okay, so when you land over here and you run this way and go up this hill and down over here, and I'm like, this city, you live there, and it's kind of scary.
I would really love to. I wish you could set that up to be just a one-player exploration game, so I could just go and wander around for 2 or 3 hours and really figure out where everything is and parachute in multiple times, see where the lay of the land is. Because I just don't. It seems unlikely with all the other games I play that I'm ever going to be able to dedicate 300 hours to PUBG.
Right.
And I love the game. I think it's great, but I think it's always going to be a game I play casually. So
yeah, I hear you.
They're also adding another weapon, so there will be a new 5.56 rifle.
Chicken bazooka. Oh, sorry.
No, that takes sniper attachments,
nice.
And what it lacks in damage, it makes up for in muzzle velocity.
What it lacks in being a chicken bazooka, it makes up for in muzzle velocity.
So apparently, it's going to shoot a little straighter, so less bullet drop over distance, but you're not going to do quite as much damage when you actually hit. So it's interesting. I rarely find sniper rifles. It's one of those things.
I've never found a sniper rifle.
Like if you have a sniper rifle, you're gold. Like that's you need one, and it's.
I usually am like, sweet, I got a knife.
Yeah.
I mean, I found the 8x scope attachments or whatever, and those help a lot.
Oh yeah.
So even the 4x,
the 4 or more, yeah. The 2x scope is.
Yeah, it helps.
It helps get a little. You can see a little bit further.
Put a scope on my knife.
Yeah.
Put a scope on your frying pan.
Yeah, but maybe we'll actually see some more of those weapons pop up since there's another one.
That would be nice.
Well, maybe in, I don't know, October when Dylan gets back, we can all play PUBG together.
Yeah.
Where are you going now? Oh, that's right. You've got things happening.
Things.
And stuff.
Things and stuff.
All right. Is that all you got there for the PUBG?
Oh, that means we're going to have to podcast alone the week after next. Just me and you. Oh, well.
Crazy.
Anyway.
The podcast is falling apart.
All right. That's okay.
Yeah.
We can have a guest star come in. We can ask PewDiePie
to
come and be our third mic person, and he can say all the racist shit that you.
Please do not replace me with him. I will not allow it.
Dude's gross.
I mean, so here's the thing with PewDiePie. I'd seen him before, but I never knew. This was before I understood the whole YouTube community and the Twitch community and how all that stuff and the monetization of it and what these people were. I thought these were just crazy people who were like, look, I've got a camera. I didn't realize.
You didn't realize that PewDiePie made $14 million last year?
Tons of money.
You're not off.
Oh, I'm not off.
Let's be clear. Like, you're on the nose with he's crazy and he has a camera.
Yeah.
But he also has a bank account.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he was. I thought he was doing it just because he was crazy with a camera. I didn't realize he was doing it because people were paying him.
Yeah.
Which is still crazy to me.
Which is just, I mean,
It's
if
nuts.
you've ever given money to PewDiePie and you're listening to this, you really need to go see a doctor.
Yeah.
You just need to.
So I guess I don't know if there's anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about now because it's been on literally every web page I open. Doesn't matter if it's Facebook or Twitter or, MSN.
And if you haven't heard about it, this isn't the Nazi thing that he pulled, 4 months ago, 5 months ago?
He did this whole kind of anti-Semitic Nazi crap and then, kind of pulled it back. And he's like, I didn't, especially out of a lot of the kind of the current events, he's like, I didn't really realize that, or so he said, he didn't really realize that Nazis were kind of a thing, that like there were literally people that kind of self-identify with this super alt-right, Nazi kind of thing that we see going on. And he seemed very apologetic and very sincere. And I don't want to say you give the guy a pass, but he lives in a completely people don't realize. Yeah, dude's Swedish. I mean, I'm sure people do realize, but he's Swedish. He lives in the UK now, but race relations and stuff are different there than they are in the United States. Like that's whatever. So you give the dude a pass, and then this weekend he's playing PUBG and gets frustrated and gets killed by someone and drops the N-word.
Infamous N-word.
Yeah. And then like backs it up with, I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say this other expletive.
Yeah.
And his first apology is like, well, I just, I got in the heat of, whatever, and that's just one of those words. And I'm like, I swear, like, people don't realize because we do a podcast and we try and keep it clean here, but, like, I swear constantly.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I mean, I think all of us do. Like, it's part of our vocabulary, and you all don't know how hard it is to do this for an hour and a half and not. But, like, that's a word that I have never said in anger, Like, I mean, that's just, it's one of my kind of off-limit things I don't say.
Right. I don't think any of us have said it just because of the weight that it carries in this country in particular.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what kind. I'm sure it doesn't carry a good amount of weight in any other country.
Yeah.
But I can honestly say I think it might be viewed. I don't want to say differently, but not with as much
in other countries.
Because in other countries, not necessarily. I mean, in other countries, not necessarily ours or the UK or whatever. I don't think it has that.
It's not the same weight.
It's not the same.
It's not. Yeah.
But I mean, the dude's.
Not
it's
that
still
it,
not
not
a
that
good
it makes
word.
it better or
Yeah,
anything.
like-
But at some point in time, too, you have to go from being like, oh, hey, I'm just a little YouTuber and I said something dumb to like, I'm effectively an international media star who, the last time I did something dumb got dropped by Disney. Like that's there's a difference between like I'm dumb, said dumb things, and like you're a media personality at that point.
Yeah.
So,
you're not you can continue to rep yourself if you want that way, and that's fine. But all the companies that are on board with you are going to go away because you're effectively representing them.
But I think the biggest thing that came out of this for me is like I don't think we need to argue that PewDiePie is or isn't a racist. He is. I don't think we need to argue whether or not he's a good person or not, because I've listened to him. He's just dumb. And a lot of YouTubers are just dumb. But the thing that was most important out of this for me is like I'm going to be 40 real soon. And I think a lot of other people that listen are that same age, like that 35 to 40. And we've got kids that are 8, 10, 12,
and they consume
13.
A lot of YouTube.
My kid, I mean, I tell this story all the time, but my kid like, hey, Dad, come look at this thing I built. And he built this thing in Minecraft, and I'm like, that's amazing. Like, how did you – I don't know how to do that. How did you figure out how to do this? He's like, I saw it on YouTube. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess the internet's just raising my kid now, and I can like go take a nap. This is great. And I think that we all kind of let our kids go like, oh, we're just watching Minecraft videos. Oh, we're just watching video game videos. And not necessarily realizing that some of the people that do those videos are horrible, awful people. And I mean, some of them are I mean, PewDiePie's gross, but there are people way worse than him too. So I think – it bears asking, if you've got a kid who's 10 or 12 and is at an age where they're very impressionable and maybe don't realize that that's not a word you're supposed to say, or that, you don't, people who make jokes about Nazis aren't good people.
Right.
That, ask your
make
kids.
A joke about dead Nazis.
Then it's fine. Yeah. Then it's just a Wolfenstein game.
Which I cannot wait for.
Me either. But, make sure that you know what your kids are watching and ask them, like, do you watch PewDiePie? Because if you do, you shouldn't be. And here's why, because he's dumb and says dumb things. And it's just, it's just awareness. Like, there's so much good stuff on YouTube and there's so many great people on YouTube and there's so much good content, but there's a dark side to all of that. And some of these people are making millions and millions of dollars off that dark side. So just be aware. Yeah. Now that I've brought the entire podcast down, thank you.
Yeah, and I don't care if PewDiePie is a good or bad person or what he thinks about anything, but the important thing too is like he is a celebrity and he has an audience. So like when you are in that position, I don't care what you do on your own time.
Yeah.
But if you're reaching those people, you have to be mindful of what you're saying. Yeah. Like that's like 101 for you'd think. And
well, if you're not, you have to accept the responsibility for that. Like, I mean, that's the reality with freedom of speech is you literally have the ability to say anything you want, but that doesn't absolve you from the blowback.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally means you can.
I mean, it doesn't mean that you should.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that there won't be consequences for saying those things. Yeah. People get real confused with, oh no, it's free speech. You're 100% right. It's totally free speech.
Right.
But it's also my free speech to say you're stupid.
And when you've got corporate people attached to you, it becomes
it's not the same thing.
Free speech. It's like
you can't say what you want and expect your boss to keep your job.
Yeah.
Like that's
like we work at a radio station. If I cut a commercial for one of our clients the way I think it should sound because I think their products suck, that's perfectly within my rights to do as a human being. I can do that. Guess who's going to be unemployed tomorrow, though?
Well, I mean, but even just us, like I said, we make a decision not to swear on our podcast because we understand that
swear often,
a little bit, every now and again. I mean, Dylan said something earlier. I heard him.
I did.
Yeah, it's all right.
Because Destiny platforming in first person is frustrating.
Yeah,
and it merits that word that I used.
But I mean, and it slips. But we've made a decision not to do that, and that's not censorship. It's something we chose ourselves, and we did it because we want. We have an audience that we know sometimes parents listen to our podcast in the cars with their kids and they don't want to hear that stuff. And so we try and keep it at a level. But I mean, there are things that we won't talk about too, just because we know that it could affect our jobs or our lives or our whatever,
At the same time, I'm not about censorship, but at the same time, sometimes you say things when they do add value to something. And a lot of the times just using words for the sake of using words isn't adding any value. So like it doesn't contribute to the conversation. And if it did, it would be a different conversation we'd be having. Yep. So
yeah, and my favorite thing out of all of this, though, is Sean Vanaman.
Oh, I forgot about this.
Yeah, the co-founder of Campo Santo. The
people that make Firewatch.
They're filing a DMCA takedown.
Already have.
What's DMCA?
So it's the Digital Millennial Copyright Act. Essentially, it's
so these people are because these people are making money using footage from their game.
Yeah.
So I get it. To take down his videos about Firewatch and its future games. Anyway, this is what he says, and it's perfect.
Great.
Because the opening to it doesn't apply just to PewDiePie, but it applies to anybody. There's a bit of leeway you have to have with the internet when you wake up every day. And then he follows it up and make video games. But I still think, everybody has to say it's the internet. You kind of have to give it a little bit of breathing room one way or the other. But there's also a breaking point. He says, I'm sick of this child getting more and more chances to make money off of what we make. So when it comes to these people actually using these videos and having these abysmal racist tendencies and anti-Semitic things to say and profiting off of all of these fantastic games, that needs to stop. So,
yeah.
But anyway.
And one last thing, too, is aside from whatever he said, I don't like this because it creates the one thing in a video game community we don't want, and that's the troll behavior, that toxic behavior. Right. Whether or not he said a racist comment or just he was a jerk to somebody. Right. Those aren't the kind of people we want being our top tier people that anyone growing up is looking up to, because that's what makes multiplayer games not fun. That's what makes these communities terrible. So that's exactly how I would like to see a reaction from not, and this isn't the only behavior that's unacceptable. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of just really negative behavior, but because they're totally profiting off something that's technically they could just all video games could say you can't do this, and then all those people would be out of jobs. That's how they make their money. Their livelihood could be gone in a snap. So I think there's definitely a responsibility to create a positive environment for video games.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if other people follow suit. Campo Santo took a stand and said hey, we call you out and we call on other developers to do the same thing. And I mean, that's what they said. They feel complicit in the fact that they've gotten 5.4 million views on that video, and so they know they have probably driven traffic from that video to their store to make money, and they realize that that's to some degree they're kind of complicit in taking that money from a guy they don't agree with his views. It'll be interesting to see if other companies start using DMCA takedowns strategically like that. I mean, and apparently they kind of have talked around to some lawyers, and it's within their rights to do so.
Good.
So
good. All right, now that we covered that racist pile of crap, we move on to questions. And we've got a few questions this week, but first we always lead them off with...
Vinny!
Missed it last week.
Where are you, Vinny?
You looked very confused when you said that.
No, that's my Vinny face.
Vinny, you've got a face now.
I think you had a face before, too.
I know. Well, you got a new one. Vinny's question is, what massively popular video game or series of games just does not appeal to you? Why does said game disinterest you so much, and do you understand why others are in love with that game or not?
Yes. I think I do.
An answer.
Destiny.
Yeah.
You're stupid.
Go home.
I cracked myself up.
Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft can die in a burning dumpster fire.
I was kind of going to say the same thing.
Do you understand why people like them?
Actually,
no,
I don't.
I love World Warcraft. I love the loop. I love the get a quest, do a quest, bring it back, get a reward. It's like heroin to me. Yeah.
No, I understand how that's addicting, but it absolutely doesn't appeal to me.
There are so
exactly
many
the same
more,
reason. That loop is so
but
terrible.
There are so many more fun things that you can be addicted to, like heroin.
We don't mean that. We do not endorse
heroin.
At the
Drugs are bad, don't do
podcast,
it.
we do not endorse heroin.
No, I just really like that loop, and I like the socialness of it. I love playing with other people, so I love having a community that you can play with and grow with, and people will just oh, hey, yeah, let's go do this quest together. It's like Warcraft was literally a game I had to stop myself from playing because it was how they say video game addiction isn't real, and it's really not. There is no addiction to video games like there is an addiction to heroin. there's not a I mean, but
really?
No. Psychologically there's no such thing as video game addiction. But video games, but that's what most psychologists tell you, is there's no video game addiction, but can video games get to a point where they are harmful to your outside life? And that's when video games become problematic.
Okay.
And Warcraft for me became problematic. I'm going to lose my job because of this. I'm going to wake up early and play World of Warcraft. Oh crap, it's 9:30. I'm going to play some World of Warcraft on my lunch. Oh crap, it's 2:30.
Oh, no.
It's bad. So I get why people don't like it, but man, does that game do it for me?
Okay.
It really does.
Yeah, not my. I tried Warcraft, World of Warcraft when it first came out. I was like, oh, I'll give this new hero game a shot, and I played it. I'm like, I have no idea what is going on in this thing.
Yeah,
no clue. And then
you're supposed to go find 10 bones.
The hell does that mean?
And bring them back.
Don't give a crap.
Do it again.
And then I picked up Final Fantasy XIV because Kevin started playing with all of her friends, and all of her friends were playing. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I got 3 weeks into it, and I can't do this.
The learning curve for both of them is hard.
Well, I figured it out. I got it, and I got used to hitting the buttons and the things and doing all the stuff and blah, blah, blah. But I'm just I literally could just go to these places, push a button, and everything will happen for me, and just watch it. I'm sitting here watching this little avatar run around and do all these things.
Yeah.
My fingers hurt.
It's not for everyone.
So that was that. Do you have a series or something you just don't get it?
I mean, most MMOs in general, it just doesn't, for some reason, doesn't do it for me. I do understand, there's that community there. And a question aside, do you find the community around MMOs to be more positive than other games?
Yeah.
And mostly because probably you're not as much competing with people, probably.
Yeah, it's I've been,
because it's not about competition; it's about teamwork.
Yeah, I've been in 2 MMO communities in Star Wars Galaxies and World of Warcraft, and both of them are incredibly positive. It's the kind of thing where, when you're in a guild and you level up, it kind of says that, hey, so and so leveled up, and you'd get 15. Oh, hey, congratulations, good job, man! It's a very strange experience, but I mean,
There's so much about World of Warcraft that I like, but I would rather play Skyrim. Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. Is anytime I would play a massive RPG, massive RPG online with people, I'd rather just play this much prettier RPG over here that's not.
And there's online. Really no difference between the two. It's the same game loop. It's just whether you want to do it with friends or not. And I mean, to me, actually, I'll be honest, Destiny is the perfect melding of those two. It's a game that I can play co-op with buddies, and you have a clan, and it's just, I don't have to pay $15 a month for it, and it looks gorgeous.
Yeah,
so
I do. I really like Destiny too.
So, I mean, like I said, same loop, same idea. It's great. Survival games don't do it for me.
Yeah.
It's just a genre that I'm not interested in at all, and I mean, 1 billion people play that. MOBAs are... I need to give MOBAs a chance, but they're so dense that I really, really don't understand them. So I can't say that they wouldn't appeal to me, but as it stands, I watch them, I'm I have no idea what's going on.
Right.
Sports games.
So basically everything except for Destiny and some Rocket League.
Oh, I love there's so many games I do love.
Well, I think I kind of, as we talk about this, I'm kind of understanding what I don't like about these kind of games. And Destiny, for example, is a great example, I think. But I like when I'm playing with people that when we start the game, we're here. We are at square one, and we go to the end. Mm-hmm. In these games, everyone has their own quest line that they're in. So you're not necessarily at the same point. If I was always playing with the same people at the same point in the story, I think it would be more enjoyable for me.
It depends on the game, too. That was one thing that was really cool about Star Wars Galaxies, is that a lot of the stuff you did, it wasn't around a quest. It was almost like you kind of created your own quests because you lived, I lived in a town. I had a house. And the game was set up so that you had people that were hunters, and you had people that made clothes and weapons. And so you almost had this little economy where I'd go out with a couple guys and we'd go get some really cool skins and meats and stuff, and we'd take them back to our people in the town that made clothes, and they'd make cool clothes for us to wear. And, we'd take these other parts and give them to these other people that use them to make guns, and we'd go mining to get, it had nothing to do with the game at all. We'd hold these big things okay, everyone, we're going to do a 25-man thing, and we're going to go kill a crate dragon because we need crate dragon bones. And there's no quest around that. It was just stuff we needed.
Yeah. No, that sounds way more appealing. But
it was
to
so
me,
fun.
We're in a group of 6 people, and we're doing this quest, and then someone says, oh, I remember when I did this quest, like, yesterday, and I'm like, well, that takes me out of it.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, this quest is already done. Like, you've already killed this big meanie. Yeah. Like, why are we killing this big meanie? Like, the world isn't progressing. Yeah. You're never existing in this timeline in this world.
I wonder if there will be a time where computers and things get smart enough to, like, randomly generate those things. And so, like, your quests are
always
different.
It's a linear timeline, and it's never going backwards. You're never doing the same event twice.
Yeah.
Or more times.
It'd be interesting at some point in time where they can procedurally generate enough stuff to not have them feel procedurally generated like they kind of did in Skyrim, but
Skyrim procedurally generated?
Skyrim had this quest system generated? That you'd like, oh hey, that tower's been taken over by bandits, go kill it, and you're like, okay, and then I go do it and I'm like, oh, that was one of those quests, wasn't it? This doesn't mean anything,
right? Yeah.
They just put some outlaws over here in this outpost, and you can fight them.
When we were first playing it, you're like, this is great, there's always things to do, and then you're like, wait, I've cleared this building of bandits 17 times now. Maybe we should put out some traps or something, spray around the base of the building.
I know your tricks.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
all
anyway.
right, cool. Well, thank you, Vinny, for that question. Up next, Crawdad. He's got a question for us. What game have you paid top dollar for and have neither What game have you paid top dollar for and haven't played?
What game have you bought and never played?
Oh, I'm sorry. Have neither played? Sorry, I write for a living, so it was throwing me off because I was ending the sentence way too soon. What game have you paid top dollar for and have neither played or just played for a few minutes?
Yep.
Resident Evil, whatever this last one was.
7?
Yeah.
You played for the hour.
I played it that hour and a half while we were over there, and I've not touched it
since.
The thing
is, I've heard that game's so good,
I
too.
know.
I've heard the first 2/3 of that game is so good.
I need to play it.
Civilization 6, I bought it last year.
Oh, I heard that one's fantastic.
They're all fantastic.
I heard this is the definitive.
I'm sure it is. I love Civilization 6. I love the idea of it. I love Civ 5. Those are games that kind of suck me in kind of the same way WoW does, where I'm like, just one more turn.
Your 3 hours goes
just one more turn
fast. Like, it's 1 a.m. Oh, I need to wake up soon.
I bought Civilization 6 within probably 2 weeks of its launch date. I got it on a really good sale right around Thanksgiving. Paid like $45 for it. Have installed it. Never hit start.
Really? Wow.
Just haven't got around to it. It's not because I'm not interested in it. Every once in a while I'm like, dang, I really need to go play Civ 6. It looks really good.
I've got that. I picked up Grand Theft Auto 5. But I had picked that up like only a month or so ago, so that's okay. PUBG and Destiny have been ruling my life. But yeah, there's a number of games I've picked up over the years where I'm like, I really need to have this game.
I mean, I guess there's 650 games in my Steam library, and I've probably played 50 of them. So, yes, there are games that I've bought and never played.
Yeah, a lot of us do that. You? Dylan, probably not. Dylan's a very methodically...
It's very few, but
of course it is.
Destiny was one of them until I revisited it later.
Same with me, though. I bought Destiny and didn't
I had
play
it
for 2
day
years.
one. I played it for probably 10 minutes and never picked it up until a month ago. And then I actually bought a new copy of it to get the gold edition with everything else. So it's like that disc is still sitting in a case.
That's funny.
Agents of Mayhem recently, though.
Ooh, that game just wasn't good.
I don't know if I ever really talked about my further experience with this game, but I kept running into bugs and like a door wouldn't open or a waypoint wouldn't show up, so I actually couldn't like go start a quest or something, and that kept happening. And I'm just like, I'm done trying this. As much as I'd like to keep playing to see if, hey, maybe this other character makes the game more fun, because there was redeeming qualities to the game. It just it became unplayable to a point.
Oh,
so,
that sucks.
That was a little bit of a bummer.
It also just wasn't good.
Yeah, but I don't know if it playing it for another hour, you might have been able to enjoy it. I don't know.
Yeah, I played the first hour and it was kind of like, meh. And then I played a second hour and I was like,
yeah. The first 3 characters they start you with, too, are the most boring. And there's 9 characters that are more interesting than those, but you have to like go through a quest to unlock them. So already they set you back to not enjoy the game. Like,
the gunplay's terrible. Like,
See,
looked real nice.
My suggestion for Crawdad here is if he's experiencing this right now.
I'm not sure he is or not. Maybe it's just a question.
Like, PlayStation Now has still got their sale going on. You can get the full year for $99, which is 1.5 AAA new releases, basically. Yeah. So you can get PlayStation Now
for
the full year.
Sure.
So because there are a ton of games that I never played because I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. I don't know if this is my thing. I don't want to spend $60 on it. So there's Red Dead Redemption. There are all the God of War games. There's so many games now on PlayStation Now that you can go back and play. Yeah, they're older games, but if you skipped it because you didn't want to spend the money, now you can spend $100 and get to play all of them, and you get new stuff added every so often.
I mean, I definitely have games like sealed in plastic still, but they're usually games that I don't buy full price.
Yeah, that's
games I get on like a Black Friday deal, and I never end up playing them just because I got them for $10.
Right. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5.
It's like actually, I think that's a game that I bought because I paid full price, but it was like a promo, like buy two get one free kind of thing. So technically, it was full pricey, but I don't think I ever played it, so it's still sealed. Even though,
I think I've paid more full price. Bought more full price games in the last year than I have in my entire life.
It's funny. I barely buy anything at full price.
I try not to, but I need to remember that it's because I got Prime. I can buy this stuff on Amazon for a 10% discount.
I heard they.
But
were
now
kind
you
of
have to pre-order.
No, you have to pre-order. You don't get that 2 weeks
now. You
after.
don't get 2 weeks after to know. So you're committed to the game.
Yeah.
But you can order it the day before.
The day before, yes.
I think so. Yeah,
but not 2 weeks.
You don't get once the release date has happened, it no longer has.
I just wish they'd
discount.
do that for digital games. Like
Yeah.
I don't want physical games anymore.
Yeah.
Except for the Switch. I like the cases.
I
love
little
cartridges. Are nice.
Yeah. Well, I've been buying more. I've been buying all digital. Even Mario Kingdom.
I maintain, man, a system that you're taking places that you could potentially lose. Don't buy your game physical unless you leave 90% of your games at home.
Yeah.
I'm going to knock on wood, but I have a storied history of not losing things. So
I think this is for Micah. Oh, well.
Under
yeah,
here.
it's
Perfect.
board. All right. Thank you, Crawdad. Next question is from Rich. Was there a game that made you make a moral decision that changed the game for you? For example, he was playing BioShock, and he saved the little sisters. I shot those little turds in the head. I'm kidding. He said, I was playing BioShock and saved little sisters, but what if you had to kill them, and that didn't sit well with you? Well, I don't like children, so I did not have a dilemma
It's
here.
that fine.
I'm kidding. I've played some BioShock, and I've saved little sisters as well.
I saved all of them.
Yeah.
We were actually, Rich and I were talking about this a little bit before the podcast, and both of us were like, I have a very, very hard time playing a game where I'm not, like, straight on Paragon. Like, I play almost every character, like...
Well, you're the good guy.
Good. Yeah.
We talked about this. We were talking about a while back. We were talking about
moral
Infamous
decisions and games.
Yeah.
I'm not even good at doing like a chaotic good. Like I'm a very like straight. Always choose the yes, I'm a good person answer. So when I play games that I don't know if I've ever hit this decision. Although actually the one place I did play it is, and I don't remember which game it was, but it was one of the Battlefield Call of Duty Modern Warfares, and you're deep undercover in a like a terrorist organization, and you end up having to go through an airport and actually shoot innocent people, and like you have to do it to maintain your cover. And then at the very end of it, they just shoot you anyway. And like it was a very like morally, I'm like, well, this is the wrong thing to do, but the game's making me do it. But even like Fable, where you had the choice of being a good guy or a bad guy, or The Force Unleashed, where you had the choice of being a good guy or bad guy. Like I could never make a good enough bad guy. Like my bad guy was always just kind of like lukewarm, like I don't know. Sometimes I don't wash my hands after going to the bathroom. Like
I'm so bad.
Yeah. Vaguely naughty. Like,
I want a game like that. That just like the moral decisions are much worse. It's like the guy that doesn't wash his hands after he pees. Like because we work in a building with that guy.
Yeah, we do.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Yeah, I think it needs to be said. But yeah, no, maybe that was on my mind because I left the bathroom right before we recorded. He walked in. But no, it's I'm just not very good at it. I'm very like it's not my thing.
I always tend to do the good guy thing too, and I don't know. I mean, I guess it's because you do kind of immerse yourself just enough in a game where it's like, no, I'm going to make the right decision, and because that's generally the story you want to see, right? Like most people don't want the unhappy ending. Like we naturally want like a nice catharsis at the end that is somewhat fulfilling, and that's usually not slaughtering people.
And I think that's the funny thing, though, is like I'm 100% willing to, like, I'm the good guy. Oh, no, I've killed 2.4 million people in the course of this video game.
Right.
But they're not really people. They were bad guys.
They were black hats.
Yeah. Like, I don't have nearly that moral ambiguity in real life.
Yeah, I mean, ever since Fable, like, I've always gone the good route, and even I always would play the good, and I would think about going back and playing but I would never finish it. Like, I would never actually get very far playing
you know
the
how many
bad
crunchy?
guy.
What was it in Fable? You could eat the chocolate covered baby chicks.
Yeah,
and that would lower your thing.
What?
The description of them is they're crunchy because of the bones.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah. But it's terrible. So it would actually make you bad. But I couldn't make enough other bad decisions to be bad in any other way. So I'm just like snacking on dead baby chickens.
One question this makes me kind of think of is sometimes games are it's very obvious what the good and bad decision is. Like, it would be nice sometimes if they made it a little more shades of gray, so you didn't exactly know what the choice you were making did. Or even, like, instances in, I think, like Grand Theft Auto games, you'll be like doing the storyline where there's these two guys and you end up having to kill one, and neither of them is like necessarily the right or wrong thing, but it's like you got invested in these two characters, and at some point one of them has to go, and you got to make that choice. Like, that pulls a little harder, and it's more of a decision about like what gets to you rather than just being a good or bad guy.
Maybe
and
that's
it's
what
like,
we need. Or games that let you choose bad or worse guys.
Right,
you're always going to be a bad guy.
That would just take the morality out of it and just be like, you're a bad guy.
Yeah, because like it's one thing to be like, do you want to kill the little girl with creepy eyes, or like, do you want to save her? And it's like, I'm going to save her. But like when you actually invest in these two characters, and it's like, oh no, one of them's going to fall off this cliff. Which one do I save? And it's like that's a much harder thing to do in a
game that did
time.
it really well was the Walking Dead from Telltale, because there were scenes where you were like, okay, who are you going to save? Are you going to save this guy, this kid over here by the tractor, or this guy over here getting pulled through the fence by a zombie? And you're like, well, I'm going to save this guy. Screw the kid. I'm going to save the guy getting grabbed by the zombie. Well, he dies anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and
it's
the thing is, you try to make the choice, and it's still like you still don't know what the outcome is. Yeah. So that's kind of cool when you're actually picking an active thing that's happening too, because it's really like it happens at that moment.
So that's one of my favorite moments in the entire series for whatever reason.
I think that the games sometimes do a good job too of making you choose like the greater good. You know, you can save your best friend, but if you save your best friend, 1 million people die. You know, like those are always
those are a little harder
I
those are a
love
little
my best
harder
friend,
decision.
But there is an opportunity for relations with more people if I save them.
Yeah.
So
hear that?
You can have
friend,
1 million
you're
best
dead.
friends after you save them.
Exactly. They're like, you saved all of us.
I don't like people very much. I get one best friend. That's it. If he dies, I'm screwed.
After finishing Until Dawn, like that game has some things too. Even though some of the twists later on, like your choices, you find out might not had as much weight as they could have, or but I mean, your choices absolutely affect the story, but. It's those like you choose between two friends and like in dire situations. So like that's and with a ticking clock that can be fun and a challenge to see what you want to choose. So cool. I enjoy those.
Well, great question. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rich, Crawdad, and Vinny, as always. We're going to wrap this up really quick because Cliff has a meeting to go to in about 3 minutes. So we're going to go over the cheap free games because that's all we got left. Games with Gold. Today is your last chance to get Trials Fusion. Wait, today as in recording?
Today as in the day this will release. Thursday.
Okay. So Trials Fusion, which is that bike...
It's super fun. It's
so there's
fun.
urban trials, whatever, blah, 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 where you're on a bicycle. And it's the urban one, and you're in a city. You're in like city
there's
stuff.
all sorts of different
and
levels.
Well, it's on PlayStation now, so I've played that.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, this is addicting. And before I knew it, I'm like, I've done this for an hour.
Yeah, your hands hurt. Trials is super fun. I love it.
So there's that. Oxenfree is tomorrow.
We'll be up Friday. Yep.
Well, yeah, when I say tomorrow, I mean, as of listening. So get Oxenfree. That's on your Games with Gold.
So good. I love it so much.
Also, Battlefield 3. Not 1, not 2, not 4. 3.
But 3.
Is there a 4?
If you want to go back and play that game that's been out for quite a while.
Yeah, it's on your 360. It's on your Xbox One, but it's a 360 game.
Oh, I don't even know this. And finally, the big thing for Xbox folks that have Gold is Star Wars Battlefront Season Pass is free.
Yeah, so if you
that's kind of a big deal.
It is, yeah, and it's normally $20, but if you picked up Battlefront either super cheap or if you have the EA Access version, you can get the DLC for it for free, and the DLC is huge. I mean, it was like bunches and bunches and bunches of new levels and new maps and new stuff. So definitely worth grabbing.
I'd like to visit that a little bit more before the second one comes out.
Agreed.
That's one of the games that I bought that I only played 10 minutes with, and I said, done. Yep. Anyway, so there's that. Thanks for listening to episode 43 of the Bite Me podcast. We will do it again next week, as we always do. We release on Thursdays, so just keep that in mind when we're talking about stuff. Yep. If you're listening to us on iTunes or Google Play, like us, love us, rate us, whatever. Vote for us. We want to be popular.
Vote for us.
Find us online at Bite Me Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Mixer, and bitemepodcast.com.
It's like a Yahoo commercial. .com.
We're done.
Bite me.